Good morning. I'm here with my vermicompost bin, my red wiggler composters, and I'm quite happy with how this compost looks. I know it's not quite completed. There's quite a bit of shredded cardboard that I can identify, but there's also a lot of vermicompost in here. So I'm going to go ahead and push all this material to the left, and then I'm going to give it a good sift. I'm going to get all the vermicompost separated from this material, but I'm also going to start using this material in my garden. I have a few tomato plants that need to be transplanted, and I just have a few projects in the garden that I can use this vermicompost and this for the most part composted material in. So I have a few things to get me going. I have my mortar bin, and then I have my sifter where I am going to collect all the vermicompost in, and I have a bucket to separate all my worms, and then I have a small container where I will put in all my cocoons if and when I find any. So I'm going to start by taking the top parts of this off, put it in here, and any worms that I do find will go in the container, and we'll start a new bin. And this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy process. I'm going to pick out all these worms by hand, and I'm going to pause this video for a minute. I'm going to work on all of this and show you my progress soon. As I am sifting my bin, I am finding a few beautiful cocoons that I will be separating and put in a bin that I currently have inoculating. It's just part of the process. It's something I do in case disaster strikes in one of my bins or one of the layers of my bin. Then I have this new generation to keep me going without having to buy red wigglers again. I've come to the part of this sift of this top layer of my bin that is both the most exciting and the most challenging. I doubt I'm gonna get very much of a sift out of here. This is gonna be one big huge worm ball. So here we go. Oh yes, look at all of those. I'm gonna try to put them in here after all, just for a quick shake. I don't want to upset my worms too much though. Let me put them all in here. Let's see what we get. Yikes. These are all my very hard-working red wigglers that give me beautiful compost. I've got my own little ecosystem going on here. I use shredded cardboard that I've put in my chicken coop. So it's been infused with chicken poop for a couple weeks, and then it goes into my worm bin, and then all my workers over here give me very beautiful worm castings. I've already fed some to my tomato plants, and I got some of I believe it's milkweed that attracts butterflies. I'm gonna feed some to that too. And this is just from 2 weeks, and the top layer of my worm bin. After my sift, I am left with a couple of inches of pure worm castings, and I've given it a one-over. There's really not any worms left in here. There could be cocoons in there. I'm not too worried about it. I will store my worm castings in this pretzel bucket. It keeps it nice and moist. I don't let it dry out, and I don't really give it time to dry out because this vermicompost will be used in the garden within a week or so, 2 weeks, next time I do some gardening. So this is the second layer of my worm bin. There are not too many worms in here. I let this bin inoculate for a couple of weeks. This is just shredded cardboard that I got out of my chicken coop. So it's got some chicken manure on it and shredded leaves that I put through my shredder. And I've let this sit here for, gosh, a couple of weeks. I forgot, I lost track of time, how long it's been. I put no dirt in here whatsoever, so what you're seeing is already vermicompost. And if there is any dirt looking material, then I assume it must be just a chicken manure. I did put a banana peel in here, a little bit of food scraps, so this bin can get started, get inoculated. And the most favorite part of a sift is starting over in a new bin. So let me get my worms from the previous bin and go ahead and dump them in here. Yikes, so many of them. Wow, it's quite a bit of worms. Impressive, really. How to keep multiplying. Old ones die off, new ones come and go. They just keep working and creating compost for me. All right, so that's all the worms. I'm gonna go ahead and cover them up. Make sure they are nice and moist. And this is the start of my vermicompost new layer. From the sift I just concluded in the top layer of my bin, I got all these food scraps and some of the cardboard that came off the sides. I'm gonna go ahead and add this to the second layer of my bin because this is nice and inoculated, and it is a food source and it's got all the microbes they need to get going. I just uncovered the bottom layer of my 20-layered bin, and as you can tell, I've left this undisturbed for a little while. Also started with just shredded newspaper, shredded cardboard that's been put in my chicken coop for a little while. And this is really how I start the entire process. I put that shredded cardboard in here, I add some shredded leaves off the tree, and I make sure it's nice and moist, and then I just let it sit. So by the time my worms are done with the new layer of my bin, this will be nice and ready to go. I also add a couple of worms just so they can get the process started. They seem to be surviving and doing well, so I'm happy about that. I'm gonna give this a good shake, then I'm gonna leave it be for another couple of weeks, or until my worms are ready to get going and get working in this layer. Okay, this is looking good. What I like to do with all the cocoons and everything, some of the babies that I find while I sift my bin, is go ahead and put them in this bottom bin. Not because I want a bin full of babies, but like I said, I leave the bottom layer undisturbed for the most part, so the least amount of damage will be done to these cocoons. And like I mentioned before, if tragedy strikes for some reason in one of my other layers, then I always have a new generation ready to go to work and start the process over. So that's really my only reasoning for putting all the cocoons in a separate bin layer. So this is a layer of my bin that I just sifted, that I got all my worms out of, and that I used to compost of. I used some compost in my garden. I put some on my tomato plants, put some on my milkweeds, but I also put some on the top layers of my bottom two bins. I know I'm not using this triple layer bin as I should. Should feed the bottom part and then stop feeding it and let the migrate to the second part, to the top part. I like to make my own in separate layers like this. And I could start over with all new cardboard, but the reason that I'm not doing that is because if you were to throw all this out, make sure that you give it an inspection, because worms are great at hiding out. And as you see, they love going under this cardboard. I'm not gonna pick them out. I'm just gonna leave them be. And I'm just gonna put some new newspaper over on top of this and papier-mâché it down with water. I'll keep you posted. All right, I got my newspaper in here, and now I'm just gonna pour water in here and make sure it is all nice and pasted down on all the corners. Just make that stick with water for now. And here's the beginning of the bottom of my new bin. I just went to the hen house to collect this shredded cardboard. As you can tell, it's full of chicken manure and some chicken feathers. So I'm gonna leave this be the top layer of my bin for a while, because this will set off some heat and I don't want my bottom two layers to heat up too much. The next step is I'm going to go to my tree and I'm going to pick a lot of leaves, put them through the shredder and add them on here. I just finished putting an entire bucket of leaves through the shredder, and I'm just going to add this to this bin full of shredded cardboard infused with chicken poop and shredded leaves. This is really all I'm going to do to this bin for now. I'm gonna let this cook for a while. I'm gonna make sure it stays moist. Put a tiny bit of a food scrap in here and there, but that's about it. So this will become my working bin after my current working bin has finished. Then the worms will go to the inoculating bin, and then finally into this bin I just made this morning. Hope this helped someone. If you liked my videos, give them a thumbs up and share them. Thank you.